What is going on, guys? Hopefully you guys can hear me. Oh, we have music going. Let's turn this off. What is going on, guys? Hopefully everybody's having a good start to their 4th of July. I know I am. And we are going to kick it off with our official review of the Crusade Armageddon guide, which I picked up, guess about a week ago. It's been out about what has it been out about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
Yeah.
Mike?
No, about probably like about 2, 3.
2, 3 weeks. Okay. So one of the cool things that we have that's going on is, as you guys know, my reviews, normally I have it like this where you don't see me, you hear me, but I wanted to have a professional player along for the ride for this one because I have actually not even opened this book up yet. I wanted the surprise of going through it myself, but we got the Grey Knights player here, Michael Farley. Mike, you're top 25, right? Or are you even higher now at this time in North America?
No. So North America, I am 16th, I think.
Ooh, even better. I
I'm
got a celebrity on the show.
I'm 26 in the world. I'd say I have another teammate of mine that is also I think he's 6th or 7th in the North America right now for Grey Knights as well. So we collaborate.
Very cool tag team effort there.
Yeah. He actually has his own YouTube channel that he just started.
Very cool.
He talks about a lot of the competitive side. He also brings on a lot of other army players and high ranked competitive players to talk about
sweet
team tournaments, stuff like that. So this will be a little bit out of my zone though. It's a little bit more narrative though. But I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons guy, so I kind of like the story stuff too.
Yeah, we're gonna get into a lot of the lore that's in here. One of the really cool things is, did you read The Emperor's Gift or did you listen to The Emperor's Gift by the chance?
I did.
Okay, so The Emperor's Gift, as you know, takes place the very first war on this planet, Armageddon, right? So yes. Armageddon
it directly impacts the lore that's in this book.
Awesome, perfect. So now Armageddon is a planet that's hugely important to the Imperium, even all the way back from right after the Horus Heresy, because it was essentially a planet that was creating weapons for it, right?
Yeah,
it produces massive weapons.
Manufactorum, hive cities, that whole thing. There's some really good maps of it too in here.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. So now you were able to was it today or yesterday actually play?
It was this morning. I was at the game store for probably like 8 hours. I played 2 like Crusade scenario games out of this, and then I had a practice game at the end because I got a tournament.
Oh, very cool. All right, so after we go through the guide, we got a video of Mike's gameplay of his 2 scenarios, and we'll go through that.
Shots,
yeah, we got some action shots, so we'll go through that. Mike will help narrate this. He's also going to help narrate as we go through the book. You guys, again, will hear me. You won't see me on this episode, but we'll go through it, and we'll also hit the video that I put together of Mike's pictures, so we'll go through that as well. Additionally, if we have time, I also have the most recent issue, I think it's the most recent issue of White Dwarf with Mortarion on the cover, and that's interesting because there's some Grey Knight stuff in there. I actually just picked it up. I'm going to cherry pick the issues. I used to have a subscription last year to White Dwarf, but I was getting too many goddamn Sigmar covers, okay? And I don't need Sigmar covers. I just did a review on the figures from Joy Toy, but I don't like reading about it. I like reading about 40K. I like reading about the Grey Knights. So definitely pick that up, and we'll do a quick review also on that issue, because I don't think you've seen the issue of White Dwarf I'm talking about.
No, right? I haven't. I have read through a little bit of this though, and there's a lot of really good Grey Knight stuff in here.
Awesome, perfect. Really quick, I want to highlight some of the people that are in chat. We obviously got Cyber, who's Cyber Rat's always here. We got T3 stopping in, so what's going on? And I see we got some lurkers in chat as well watching the video. So again, if you guys want, I'll quickly do this, guys. Again, if you like this content, please like and subscribe is the best way that I know that you like this, and I will continue bringing you Mike onto the channel so we know this is good. So I already know it's good. Anyway, so So we're going to get into it. We're going to start with the Armageddon book, and we'll start to go through the pages. Oh, we got Lone here as well. What's going on, Lone? Hold on one second. I just want to fix the chat for some reason. Let's see. There we go. I just needed to see why my chat was not going over. Oh, I know why it's not. I know why. It's because of that picture, that cool picture of Armageddon there. Let's go right here. All right, cool. All right, so chat's working. That's great. So we're going to open up the book again. Guys, one thing that you can help me with as we're going through this is let me know if you guys are seeing too much glare on your screen for the book. Now, I've tried. If anybody knows anything about reviewing books or magazines, it's a pain in the ass because there's glare on the magazine and there's glare on this. So I've tried to reduce as much as I can. So one of the reasons why we do this by candlelight a lot of time. So I don't have too much light on the actual guide itself. So we'll see. So all right. So obviously Crusade Armageddon. I like what did you think about the artwork for this, by the way? Because I know that a lot of people were complaining. We got the Codex art for the Black Templars. People are like, that's terrible.
I thought this was sweet. I think, I honestly think a really neat little bit that I just noticed that is the Grey Knight in the very center there. His sword is broken.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's shattered in two.
Oh shit.
He is not having a good day.
and I'm gonna mention it because everybody knows I'm gonna mention it. He does not have a goddamn helmet on.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know why you gotta show your clean shaven pult right there, but like there's a bunch of demons around. I would not be showing my head. So anyway, so here is the magazine. Here is the well, what do we call this? This is a not a guide, but it's a what are these
I don't even
called?
know. It's like I mean, it's a Crusade book, so I don't know. I'd maybe call it a supplement, even like.
Okay, so we'll call it a supplement.
Yeah.
So as we're going to the first couple of pages here, I want to see how the glare.
So I'm curious because everyone kind of has a different head canon. On that previous page you were just on, all those faces, that's on the inside of like all of the codexes, everything. What do you think those are? What do you think those faces are? Everyone, I don't think there's an actual right answer.
You know what this looks like at first glance, looking at it from did you watch the Game of Thrones series?
Yeah.
Did you remember the when Arya went to become like an assassin?
Yeah,
Remember all the faces on the wall? That's what it doesn't look like it, but it reminds me of that. That's what.
So something I read, I think I read on Reddit, was some people think that these are our psychers that are being sacrificed to the Golden Throne.
Actually, that's smart. That's actually smart because I'm sure that they would not be having a very good day when that happens.
But I don't think there's an actual right answer. I was just curious on what your thought was at first glance.
No, I to be honest with you, I would have just glanced over it. But to be honest with you, yeah, I think that actually makes sense. I think it is the Psychers being sacrificed for the Emperor to keep his corpse alive. Did I say that? I mean to keep the Emperor alive. So let's go in. So first page, I want to check out the glare. It doesn't look too bad. The Red Angel's Gate, Armageddon. Yeah, the glare is not too bad, so we should be pretty good. Again, if you notice like there's too much glare, Mike, let me know, and I'll adjust like the pages of it. So again, we got 129 pages total, it looks like. So you were saying before we started this, as we get to the end of this is the missions 112 to 129 we're gonna see, and that's what you played through earlier today, correct?
So there are 16 missions. I only did 2 of them. I did the second one, and then I did the very last one. I did the Brazen Bridge, and then I did the Assault on the Warp Gate.
Very
and
cool.
They all kind of loosely tie into a scenario or like a key point from the actual campaign lore.
Cool. So an overview, just really looking at the contents of war overview. So this is going to kind of go into the history of Armageddon. And then again, if you've listened to or read The Emperor's Gift, you'll know why this is a very important planet, especially for the Grey Knights, and why we don't like the Space Wolves. So if you're a Space Wolves fan, now you'll understand why.
And I mean,
Unless you
for
already
those
know.
of you that haven't seen it or haven't read it, and just very quickly, because it does actually tie in a lot to this, is the Grey Knights got a warning that something bad was happening on Armageddon. So a ragtag group of, because everyone's spread super thin, rushed to Armageddon the first time to realize that the Space Wolves and the planet are in an intense battle with Angron and the World Eaters. They go down there, they start fighting them, they start killing them and stuff like that. It follows a single Grey Knight Inceptor, which is awesome. Hyperion. He has a warding stave, and you'll actually see one of my Grey Knight Inceptors that I played with has a warding stave, so I started calling him Hyperion. And he ends up, and his brothers, his little squad, with their psychic might, end up shattering Angron's sword at the time. He's gotten a new one. And that was the big turning point where they were able to banish him back to the warp. There was some other shenanigans that went on with the Space Wolves afterwards, but that was all redacted by the Inquisition, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about
it. The important thing is the Grey Knights kicked the shit out of Angron, and they made him go back. Now, at the time, it was what? They banished him for 100 years? What was it? I think it was 100 years at the time, right?
It was a while.
I know it changed.
Yes. It was a very long time, because he wasn't seen again until recently when he came back and he had the fight with the Lion.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. So they did kick him out for a while. Okay, cool. Good. All right. So again, we got the contents of the book. We got 129 pages overall.
Yeah, because his mini his actual like Demon Primarch mini didn't come out until 9th edition. With the World Eaters Codex.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that was a really big one. That was like finally like, oh, now he's back, right? Same with the Lion. No one's heard about him. No one's heard from him since the book. So now we have the mini for him. He's back.
Interesting. And then obviously we get so we'll move on to the first couple pages and we'll see what kind of art we got. So this is the first. Oh, this looks cool. We saw this before on the when they officially announced the codexes and the Armageddon. What was this, Adepticon?
Yeah.
This was Adepticon. We saw this art. So it looks awesome. Again, what do we get in there? We got the Space Wolves.
Yeah, Space Wolves dead center. You've got some Black Templars kind of like right behind them. That tank that's underneath the Grey Knight plane there, that's a Black Templar. That's a Repulsor Executioner. Then a bunch of different World Eaters, demons, actual World Eater, like Khorne demons, World Eater units, and then Grey Knights.
Okay, cool. So now the game you played, I looked at a little bit of the pictures that you guys had. So we got you actually fought against Angron in that game that you had.
Specifically, I asked a buddy of mine that plays a lot of demons in general. He has a lot of all of the demons, but he also plays World Eaters. So I had him bring a bunch of demons, Khorne demons, and then World Eaters and Angron.
Oh, okay, cool. Very cool, dude. Yeah. The minis on this, again, what would you say these are golden demon quality painted minis here?
I don't know about golden demon, but these are all like professional grade quality.
Yeah,
for sure.
We got the Grey Knights up here. Very cool. By the way, is that the Grey? That is
a Stormraven gunship.
Yeah, yep.
That is a Grey Knight Stormraven gunship.
Very cool. All right, so moving over to the first page, we get the Space Wolves and the Black Templars. So we're going to get a little bit of the introduction of who is going to be in this campaign, correct?
Yeah, so this talks about specifically how they both get recruited to come back to Armageddon. So the Space Wolf talks about how there's a named Space Wolf librarian named Njal Stormcaller. It's really weird. They got the weird Swedish sounding names. His name, he's a cool Space Wolf. I guess not Psyker. They call them Rune Callers or whatever. High Rune Priests. That's what they're called. They're not Psykers. They're Rune Priests. He had a dream of needing to go to Armageddon. He went to Armageddon. And then the Black Templars the High Marshal Helbrecht, which is the leader of the Black Templars right now, he gets a vision from a golden, warm figure of needing to go to Armageddon.
Oh.
And so
Oh,
that's both of these are talking about.
I get it. Okay. And what? So,
Yeah,
what's
it even says right here. This is to High Marshal Helbrecht. As he knelt at his devotion, a towering figure, its features obscured by a halo of radiance, manifested before him. The figure placed a burning hand upon his shoulder, and then he gets a vision.
who do you think that is supposed to be?
So it doesn't say in this, but it does later say in a couple more pages. It does say that the Grey Knights prognosticars are sending visions to people.
Oh, so they are the Okay, so it's the Grey Knights
prognosticars.
Okay, cool. Lone, definitely not a psyker.
Yeah. Yes, definitely not a psyker. He's a rune priest. And don't get it twisted.
They're not using the warp. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
By the way, what is the timetable that this is taking place in, right? Let's look at or guesstimate, because if we look at what's going on in the Imperium, right? The war with Rabuti Gilliman for was the 10th edition started with the Tyranids.
In terms of timeline, right? The Lion in his fight, when they both come back, when they release their minis and stuff, he banishes Angron back. So now this is now Angron returning.
Okay. So Lion is back, Gilliman's back. Yes. So this is pretty much.
This is like the most recent, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. All right, good. At least we're not like 100 years behind. I hate when they do that. All right, cool. So we got the Space Wolves, we got the Black Templars, who are going to be joining the fight on this one, which is cool. And the War Without End.
There's some awesome full spreads in this, just like across it. The artwork in this is incredible.
It looks like, are these demons?
No, so that's a grot. That's an orc.
Oh shit, that's right. The orcs are in this.
So the orcs are a small part of this, which is funny, but it's actually the orcs that kind of start everything again.
Figures, dude. It's red, that's why.
Yeah.
So the Armageddon system, right? So now we're going to get a little bit of the topology of what's going on in this galaxy, essentially, right? So we get, is in the middle, is that Armageddon? I'm trying to find where is Armageddon?
So Armageddon is the big planet down in the bottom left.
Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Which is Armageddon Prime. But then this is the whole Armageddon system.
I get it. Okay. The high world of Armageddon is the principal world in the Armageddon sector. Is positioned at the nexus of the sector's primary warp transit routes, and once supplied arms to Astra Militarum regiments and Navis Imperialis fleets thousands of light years distant. Armageddon's production capacity has been much reduced by continual warfare, which we talked about. There's been a lot of stuff that's been happening, because a lot of the first war that we talked about before with the Emperor's Gift, that was redacted. Like nobody knows that happened.
Yes,
right?
Other than the remaining Space Wolves and the remaining Grey Knights.
Correct.
That is it. And I mean, I guess the Grey Knights didn't kill all of the people that left there, so there are surviving like regular civilians that remember it or that would know about it. But I think they would be dead by this point.
Armageddon's production capacity has been much reduced by continual warfare. So here we go. Grazikal's evasions, that's the orcs. Warp storms and unfolding conflicts elsewhere in the Segmentum Solar have significantly eroded its military strength. And yet, humanity refuses to relinquish its tenuous grip upon the hive world. For to do so would be a dagger in the heart of the Imperium morale in the Armageddon subsector and beyond. So Armageddon is still pumping out a lot of armaments for the Imperium at this point, even with as much shit has been going on. Correct?
Yes. Well, that's the thing, is as long as like a hive city still exists and is functional, not like fallen to chaos or been fully destroyed, it's still like, no matter how dysfunctional it is, it's still a hive city, right? It's still going to be always producing, like always functioning.
I got it. All right, so we got the planets.
And so then this is the actual continental map of Armageddon Prime, the actual planet itself.
Yeah, because I remember I listened to a little bit. I think it was Valrak was talking a little bit about kind of what's going on the planet during this time, where the Black Templars are, where the Space Wolves are, and where in regards to where each of the different I would say like factories are that are what's going on in those type of parts of the sections of Armageddon. So this is cool. So the fire the fire wastes.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. The fire wastes.
The Red Angel's Gate. I'm guessing Red Angel's Gate is where Angron is.
So that is a giant, like miles long, open warp gate portal.
I get it. Okay.
That's the end zone, basically.
Okay. Okay. Where do you essentially start a lot of the narrative gameplay?
So the narrative gameplay takes place over normally, right? You'd be doing a whole crusade for this, which is right, like each mission plays into itself, or like the winner and loser of each mission like will take zones, almost like a big game of Risk. So normally, like when I've been in a crusade, someone will set up like a big map or like even a system map, and each planet will have like 2 or 3 little bubbles, and then you kind of spread out like on a writ, like you're starting almost like a game of Risk, and then each time you like have a fight between 2 factions, the winner and loser of that will take that like portion of territory and stuff like that. So
okay.
in the back, eventually, there's like kind of like win conditions and what kind of story you want to go through as you win and lose, for each like faction that's a part of it. And normally, the way they break it down is if you're playing a narrative, is you have like the good guys, the bad guys, and the chaos crew. So it's like whoever the attackers are, the defenders are, and then whoever in this case, they're calling them the Marauders. The Marauders are just like the third party that's just there to do whatever, right? And it could be, and normally, like in Crusades, right, you'll have like, sometimes they'll, kind of pair it up. So you'll like have Imperium as a faction, you'll have Chaos as a faction, and then you'll have Xenos as a faction. You could do it. But it doesn't have to be like that.
It could be any setup that you want, essentially, right?
Yeah, so I would assume that they would kind of spread out across this. It would make sense that the Chaos faction starts up in the Red Fire Wastes by the Red Angel's Gate. The Imperium faction would probably start over on the right hand in that middle land where all the hive cities are, and then you spread the Chaos Squad or the Marauders wherever you want.
I get it. So we got one comment in chat. I want to highlight this from T3. From the story bits I've heard, story bits in this I've heard, I have so many issues with continuity and what's known of things. Now we're gonna take this with a little tiny bit of grain of salt because T3 is a huge Space Wolves fan. So
I could see that by some of his other comments. He was, I was kind of picking up on that.
And then his follow-up comment is, best way of thinking of it is like Dawn of War and their version of the Crusade.
Yeah. Even like Star Wars, the old Star Wars Battlefront 2 Galactic Conquest, that kind of idea.
That's how it was. Okay, so how continuity goes with that. Cool.
Yeah. Very and then cool. You'd fight a battle, and the winner or loser of that will take a portion of the map,
I get it. Cool. I love that they're very... Is this the first time I'm reading through like a narrative book that this is how they do it? They go into like the maps, the lore, and everything, and they're kind of like
even the codexes will do lore first, rules and data sheets at the end.
Cool, very cool. So this is a little bit of the lore side of it, right? We're getting a transmission of intelligence, almost like a Nox transmission. Conquest. So is this supposed to be overall to all of the factions that are going there, or is this going
this kind of is the prologue a little bit. So it starts over at the very left there with Gazgul's invasion, and that's where the orcs are just messing up Armageddon. They are conquesting, running wild. And so then because of that, they bring in the Militarum, and they start to hunt them. and as with the Black Templars. The Black Templars show up to start helping hunt down and fight the orcs on the planet.
I get it.
All of the fighting on the planet then opens up a giant rift, which is then in the Noctis Artena. The opening of the Great Rift spells disaster for worlds, and the Armageddon is not spared. So warp storms start ravaging the surface, and then the Blood Crusades begin because of all this fighting and the warp.
I get it,
opening.
And that's when.
So then you keep going, and then the fall of High Theratis because of the influx of demons in the warp. Then the death and destruction caused during the siege of Hive Theratis feeds the Red Angel's Gate, causing it to swell and expanding. The warp scar acts as an empiric beacon and a pulsing sword of hatred and fury, which then alights deep in the warp Angron's flagship, the Conquest or the Conqueror, which has a awesome lady.
Shit.
Latara Sarin.
So hold on.
Up. Yeah.
So the gate's always freaking there.
Yes,
right?
The gate was already there. The gate was already there.
Why don't they get rid of the gate? Well, I guess they can't get rid of it.
Yeah, well, they're having trouble getting to it, and there's demons and warp energies and all that stuff. Not to mention they're being attacked by orcs.
I get it. Okay, all right. So Angron's flagship, the Conqueror, heeds the call and it starts to head to. And
so a cool little tidbit is the Conqueror's captain is this awesome lady named Latara Sarin.
Oh, I've read about her.
Super cool. She gets melded and possessed into the ship, so she now haunts the ship.
That's what
the ship is alive, and so because of the Red Angel's beacon on it, she feels it, and it just lights up in the middle of the warp and goes to Armageddon. And no one, not even the world leaders on the ship, know why it's doing that. It just wakes up, and the ship goes through the warp.
I get it, because there was a question: is that in this book? Do they kind of iron that out with her as far as that's what happened?
No, it doesn't even talk about her. It just says light years distant from Armageddon, Angron's former flagship Conqueror heeds the call. Engines abruptly flare to life, and the vessel plunges into the warp.
I get it, because during the heresy, her as the captain, like, she always actually pushed back against Angron.
Yeah, she's very cool.
And she's just a human, and she has all these crazy even before they became demonic, they were freaking crazy. And so she actually pushed back on Angron. So she was a really cool character, and it was I never knew what happened to her after the heresy. So that's actually
now
pretty
she
cool
is just a part of the ship.
I get it.
Part
so
of the
now
crew.
would the Mechanicum consider her heresy? Or would she part of the machine?
The whole ship is a demon infested.
And then from T3, more yes, but like at a point I was lost on orcs who are known for wanting good fight. Turn away from an enemy that's right on top of them to go after a guard that's a bit away. Okay, he's talking. My issue is with the orcs guard stuff. Okay, I see what you're saying. They're getting trapped, killed, but also the guard of Armageddon are known to be ready for fighting orcs.
So specifically, there is a regiment of guard here called the Armageddon Orc Hunters.
Oh shit! Okay, so they're used to the orcs being on this planet essentially, and fighting them consistently. I get it. Okay, cool.
But they started to get overwhelmed, as you do by orcs.
I get it. So keep going, sir. So
it keeps going into the Titan's Foresight, which is they start within the the chapter's Fortress Monastery. The prognosticars start to get visions of Angron arriving. Goes into their call for aid. Talks about how the prognosticars also dispatch astropathic warnings to others. Visions seeded into the minds of Hyde Marshal Helbrecht and into Njal Stormcaller, crouched on as spiritual revelations to hide the sorcery for which they are crafted, because they know that if they just appear in a hey, this is a psyker vision, you got to go there, that the Black Templars who hate psykers and the Space Wolves who do not like the Grey Knights probably wouldn't listen. So instead they arrived as, yes, we are a vision.
See, the Grey Knights know what they're dealing with.
And then, however, then this next paragraph is very telling, though. These undertakings cost the lives of 3 prognosticators, whose lives, minds, and souls were burnt out by their efforts to sustain the ritual. Of the elusive stella, I think it's their soul, nothing remains but wisps of foul-smelling smoke.
Wow.
It literally burnt out 3 Grey Knight prognosticars. And if you've played Chaos Gate, you know how incredibly valuable those are.
Yes, goddammit. I need my prognosticars.
So they sent out 3 warnings, and each one killed a prognosticar.
Holy shit! So one went to the Black Templar, or it just went out there essentially, right?
One went out to the Grandmaster of the 5th Brotherhood that was the closest by to respond.
I get it. So one went to the Grey Knights, one went to the Space Wolves, and one went essentially to the Black Templars. Okay.
Yes, yeah, right, but one was just a Grey Knight to Grey Knight communication that cost the life of one, and then the other 2 were veiled psyker tricks.
I get it. 5th Company, I'm trying to remember what they specifically specialize in. Do you remember? I have to look that up, actually.
I'd have to grab my 9th edition codex.
That's okay, don't worry about it. I remember... trying to remember off the top of my head if that was the armor division.
I think it's the preservers. So.
Oh, okay.
Whatever that one is, whatever that one did.
Okay.
So then it goes on to the Ensanguined, which talks about there was a high-ranking member of the Orc Hunters that came across a Khorne monolith and became a jackal, which is basically a Khorne cultist, and has started to overthrow the hive cities of Armageddon, based on her cult called the Ensanguined.
Interesting.
It goes on then to talk about when the Logan Grimnar, the chapter master of the Space Wolves, shows up, as does High Marshal Helbrecht, the chapter master of the Black Templars. All show up, and then they finally meet all together and to start helping out on Armageddon. It then moves on to talking about the Grand Master of the 5th Brotherhood arrives there as well. He's a Grandmaster Morvins of the 4th Brotherhood, and he starts by deploying small interceptor squads to scout the planet, basically.
Interceptors!
Yeah! So they go. And then it finally ends. That last little bit is the unexpected arrival in orbit of the Conqueror and its attendant fleet produces ripples that reaches Armageddon's surface. So basically, in orbit above Armageddon is the Space Wolf flagship and the Black Templar flagship, and they're looking down at the planet's surface and like, oh, what are we gonna do? There's all this stuff, and then all of a sudden the warp ripples and opens up. And all of a sudden, the World Eater's flagship, the Conquest, that was last seen light years away, rips out of the warp with other World Eater ships on it, and they just start to drop pods of Khorne berserkers.
Oh shit.
So it even says, whilst the combined might of the Eternal Crusader and the All-Father's honor, that's the Black Templar ship and the Space Wolf ship, and the remaining Navis Imperialis squadrons ensure Imperial naval superiority, the World Eaters and their allies show little interest in engaging in protracted void combat. Instead, the Chaos Fleet surges into low orbit. Expandable Khornate warships are hurled towards the Imperial fleet, serving as a screening force whose sheer aggression ties up the Imperial fleet just long enough for combat drop to be achieved.
I get it.
So they literally don't care about ship-to-ship shooting. They just smash into the lines of defenders and drop pods of berserkers.
I get it. So that's their way of not ignoring the Black Templars and the Space Wolves ships that are standing there. They literally just ram them. They ram them, and they're just throwing drop pods down on the planet. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I mean, can't hit a guy with a chain axe from ship to ship. Gotta get down there.
So we got T3. Also, hey, it's known Grey Knights are low on troops and sacrifice many psychers just to get those visions. And those were elite psychers. troops, mind you.
Yeah, these
Honestly,
aren't like navigators for regular Imperialist ships, like
no.
someone recruited from the. No, this is a Grey Knight prognosticar.
Yes, if you played the game Cascade Demon Hunters, you know how important they are. Honestly, stupid instead of just putting out a call, making it known its a drastic need for support via legitimate channels instead of Grey Knights seeming fishy with false messages to get SW and BT there. Yeah.
That's their whole shtick, right? Is they want as few people to know about their existence as possible.
Correct.
And
Correct.
they were contacting the two chapters that were probably the most. They would be the most suspicious or least likely to listen to them.
Now, is there anything? Did they contact them because they're close enough?
Well, right. So the Black Templars were on the planet.
Okay. Okay.
And then the Space Wolves, I think, were nearby. Yes,
I get it.
And I mean, the Space Wolves also have a very tight tie to keeping Armageddon alive.
Yes, correct. After everything that happened for the first thing that was redacted. Cool.
And so that basically kind of puts all of the pieces in place to where the beginning of the story and the rest of the book goes.
I get it. Okay, cool. Well, that was a nice bit of lore, at least from that perspective. Defenders of Armageddon. So what am I looking at here?
So this is literally, both pages are the exact details of what troops and stuff are which. So you, on the Defenders, you literally have the Space Wolves, and it goes through their chapter master, their rune priest, the Black Manes, which is another company, the Death Wolves, another company, and the fleet assets and the named of their ships and how many class ships they have. Same thing for the Black Templars. You'll notice all the way down there at the very bottom, Grey Knights redacted. So we actually don't know how much of the Fifth Brotherhood showed up and what was there.
I get it. Interesting. That's hysterical.
Same thing. Additional Astartes forces, right? So while the Grey Knights, Black Templars, Space Wolves are the big players here, there are a strike force from the Raptors, a combat unit from the Sons of the Phoenix, a strike force from the Hammers of Dorn, a strike force from the Salamanders, a strike force from the Silver Skulls. That's all successor chapters of other Space Marines.
Yeah. I was gonna say the Raptors are the successor chapter of the
Raven Guard. Yeah. So there's Raven Guard there. There's Salamanders there, right? So there's a bunch of other stuff. Then it goes on to the Astra Militarum regiments, the auxiliary units, the Adeptus Mechanicus units, the void ships they have, and any additional elements. Right? There's a rogue trader there that they have in orbit. And then same thing, the Cornate Invaders and Heretics literally lists Angron's host, Renegade Astartes, Insidious Renegades, mechanical assets. It is something to note here that on both sides, the Adeptus Mechanicus have a Warlord Battle Titan, another Warlord Battle Titan, another Warlord Battle Titan, a Warbringer Battle Titan, and a Warhound Battle Titan.
Wow.
On the Khorne sides of it, they have 4 to 6 Titans, class unknown. 1 bulk lander and a carnivore. I don't even know what that is. So there are Titans on these fights.
Wow. And then what is the redacted? Is that just
I don't know. Angron? It doesn't even say. That might be Angron, honestly. I think no, because it says at the top, Angron's presence rumored, eyewitness contained for purification.
Interesting. Is there a hint of another? Is there a hint of something else that might be coming? That's more powerful than Angron at any point, or no?
Not really. I don't know.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
I like
which is the literal exact layout of the forces, which is kind of cool.
Very cool. I like how they go about doing that in this. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, let's move on to the next.
And
Warlords of Armageddon.
Yeah, the 3 big warlords on the good side and the bad side. So you have the Grey Knight Grand Master Rothwin Morvins of the Fifth Brotherhood.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah. No helmet on.
No, it's okay. He has to get his picture there. It's okay.
That's true. That's true.
I'll give up.
Then you've got Styborn Flint Eye, Grimnar's Chosen. That's a Space Wolf captain. Because Grimnar, yeah, it even says that Grimnar took command of the Imperial forces in the air. Styborn was the commander on the ground.
Oh, I get it.
Same
Okay,
thing with then Castellan Holzer, Helbrecht's left fist, a Black Templar. I believe he is a maybe a lieutenant.
Okay.
Maybe he might also be a captain. But same thing. He's like the on the ground commander for the Black Templars.
Very cool.
And then on the right, you have the big man himself, Angron. You then have Jarok Skriel, that's a new named guy. I also have never heard of the Space Wolf and Black Templar characters either.
Okay, yeah, these are
also new.
Seem new, yeah. I'm actually gonna look up. Good.
No, he is a 8-bound or slaughter bound, so he is a world eater marine that has been possessed with a bloodthirster, a greater demon.
Oh wow, shit.
And he's one of the new minis that actually just came out for World Eaters.
I was gonna say, how is that represented in the game? But it's represented by a brand new mini form, so
yeah,
right, yes. Good answer.
And then last one is Ascara the Ensanguined. That is the orc hunter militarum lady that saw a monolith. Yeah. Yeah, she's even been to the Red Angel's Gate, and so she leads all of the cultists and stuff, and all the uprisings in the Hive fleets, and the Bow of Armageddon's hives.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, and T3, our resident Space Wolf expert, is agreeing with you. The Space Wolf guy is fairly new as far as I know. Very cool. All right, cool. So we got the main guys as far as the guys on the ground, essentially, who are going to be part of the scenario. So Armageddon Prime. So what am I looking at here?
So then this is actually like finally battle maps, right? If you ever looked at old timey force maneuver maps, that is exactly this. You've got the key, right? The faction keys, the Militarum, the Space Wolves, the Silver Skulls, and the Mortifiers. Cornate cultists, world eaters, and then traitor titans, and then you can kind of see their movement across the planes here.
Oh wow, very cool. Asher Militarum Space Wolves. So they're showing you essentially where the units are.
And you'll even see, right, like it doesn't talk about it much, but there's just like a little two big green blobs just called orc territory. You're in orc country now.
I see that. The mortifactors. What are they a successor chapter of?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Interesting. I know the Silver Skulls. I've never heard of the mortifactors though. Very cool.
I like to, so it talks about how yeah, so Grimnar shows up to take control of the hives. As the orcs or heretics started to frenzy them through mountain passes and stuff like that. Then finally, the arrival of the World Eaters opened a third front. Waves of goremongers and jackal cultists, driven forward by berserkers, landed across the northern reaches of Armageddon Prime. Landing forces of the Great Wolves forced the Great Wolves to withdraw several regiments from the plains in a preparation for an expected assault on the Hive's eastern perimeter. So like I said, he's on the ground trying to get everything ready and fighting these orcs and all of the other cultists that are still down there, and then all of a sudden drop pods. Boom, 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 and corn berserkers.
Wow. Cool. Armageddon Secundus.
So that's the main inland part where most of the hives are.
Okay, and this is going over the same thing essentially.
Yeah,
it's giving you the movements, the troops, where everybody's situated, and kind of like what the action is currently that's going on. Correct?
Yeah, and you'll even see like in the last one on the last page, there were traitor titans, there weren't any loyalist titans. On this one, because this is the main where most of the loyalist factions are, you can see all of the loyalist factions that are on the hive.
Yep. Wow. Very cool to see the salamanders there and everything too.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. The Season of Blood.
Yeah. So
what is this going into?
This is like the beginning of the story now, and it kind of follows. It kind of jumps around and follows each of one of those three kind of characters that they showed previously.
Oh, okay.
So this
So it's
is a
giving you
little
the
this is a
backstory.
little excerpt from the perspective of Ascara the Ensanguined.
Oh, very cool. And then we're moving over to this. So I'm guessing this is obviously Angron and the World
Yeah,
Eaters.
so now we're just picking up. This story just is straight up picking up from the like the descent of the World Eaters upon Armageddon have thrown
That is
ongoing
some
Imperial
awesome art,
defenses
dude.
into chaotic disorder. That big artwork of the World Eaters there on the right, that's their Codex cover.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Wow, that is so cool. Agents of Titan, the Grey Knight's witch site revealed to them veins of empiric corruption running through Armageddon's crust. Forewarned of the Red Angel's manifestation, they set their sights upon locating and purging sites redolent with his warp signature. So that, I mean, the Grey Knights know they've already dealt with Angron one time before, right? A long time ago.
Yeah,
Did they
so
look
part
at
of
that as kind of a one-off because of the power level of Hyperion? Or what do they, how do they view that?
No, I think they are always like, it is a demon and a greater demon. It is our job to get rid of it, and we are the only ones that can. I think is from reading the Emperor's Gift
With some
and
Grandmaster NDKs and a whole bunch of NDKs.
right, yes, and from reading the Emperor's Gift, from playing Chaos Gate, and from reading this, it sounds like every time there's any kind of greater demon or any kind of greater demon disturbance, the Grey Knights are responding to it.
Okay, I got it. Very cool. I love that art, man. Very nice.
Yeah,
By the
and
way,
so part of the problem and one of the reasons the Red Angel's Gate, you asked why they didn't close it, is the actual crust, the actual planet itself was corrupted with Angron's anger, basically, when he died.
if that's this. Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is
All
why
right.
it's talking about the veins of empiric corruption running through Armageddon's crust. Is the Earth itself is literally seeping with corruption.
Oh, if I would have read a little bit farther, some journeyed into the equatorial jungle in search of Angron's monolith. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now I understand, especially after Hyperion kicked his ass and chopped his sword, broke his sword, then he just fell down, and then that's where the monolith was created. I get it. That makes sense. Cool. Very nice. Let's move on.
Yeah, so this page just basically talks about them attacking all of the big hive, Theratis.
I get it. See, and there you go, T3. You get your Space Wolves in there too.
Yeah.
Very cool.
No, there's some awesome art for all of the factions.
Oh, cool. And then we get the Black Templars. And we get some art and some lore from them.
On the Space Wolf page there, it talks about yeah. So actually, yeah. So it talks about how the Fifth Brotherhood sought accursed relics from the First War for Armageddon. Such precious artifacts, Morven's hope, would contain slivers of Angron's essence, which the Fifth Brotherhood would utilize as a foci for a grand ritual of exorcism. This arcane undertaking would draw out the lingering traces of corruption left by Angron's first invasion from the planet's crust and weaken the bond that held the Red Angel's Gate open. 8 such shards would be required, or so the Brotherhood's librarians claimed. 8 being Khorne's number, and also 8 being the number of shards that Angron's sword was broken into by Hyperion.
Yep. Do the Grey Knights have those shards?
No, so that is what they're going to find.
Oh, I got it. Okay. It would have been ideal to find those shards when they originally, after they broke it. All right, so let's move on. So here we go. We're moving into the Black Templars now.
Yeah, so unfortunately, eventually, they're fighting heroically, and then eventually the hive falls. Angron's manifestation at Theratis struck a disastrous blow to the Loyalist efforts to seize the hive's ruins. It served to draw many heretics toward the Red Angel's rampage, taking advantage of thinning enemy numbers near the Hades hive. The High Marshal and his sword brothers led a second assault on the Eumenides bridge, intending to exploit resulting gaps in the foe's lines. This time, they were aided by a pair of titans from the Legio Crucius, the Warlord Titans, and a bunch of named Warlord Titans supporting his attack, leveling the heretic position with devastating missile volleys and obliterating cultists with Gatling blasters. Eventually, chimeras of the Steel Legion pull up, and they get to the Hades Hive. The next page also has some metal pictures.
Oh wow. I I have to. I don't buy any Black Templars because I know what would happen. I would just go all in and buy and go crazy with them. And I'm trying to be good and just collect specific legions that I've already selected. So wow.
And so they arrive and they retake the Hades Hive that had fallen, but it's such a loss of life that they have to stop their advance.
Wow.
And then they are hit with something called the Cornate Murder Tide, which is awesome.
By the way, I have this guy who's on the
Yeah.
Woo!
See a little Grey Knight there in the mouth of the corn demon there, down at the bottom.
Oh shit. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a Grey Knight Terminator there.
He's not. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. He's got his armor on, so he's fine. Very cool.
And then eventually, finally, down at the bottom there, it talks about the Preservers, the Grey Knights arrive into the jungle.
Okay, so that's what they're talking about, rather than intervening directly in the main battles against the World Eaters and subversive cults. Grandmaster Morvanus and his Fifth Brotherhood. I gotta look back and see exactly what the Fifth Brotherhood is known for. Exploited the bloody turmoil, dividing their forces to achieve a range of esoteric objectives. Very cool.
Yeah, it talks about there's a named librarian now, and talks about how they fight there through the feral orc population of Reek Angron's primary monolith, and then they
shit! So they actually are fighting. They're
Yes.
fighting the orcs at this point. Interesting.
Yeah, they do a cleansing ritual on this tree that erupts into life, frenzied chaos spawn and enraged mutants emerging from the foliage to throw themselves upon the Grey Knights. All met their end at the edge of Nemesis blades. The cleansing of the monolith cut loose by one of the empiric strands binding the Red Angel's essence to Armageddon. Yet many remain to be severed if the world would be secured from the brink of ruin.
Wow, very cool. So the orcs are just fodder to the Grey Knights on their way to getting to it.
Yeah.
Confronting the Red Angel.
Well,
so
right before that, though, something very, very sad for the Black Templars happened. Yeah, so by the time Helbrecht's battered forces has completed their retreat to Hive and Furnace following their failed assault on the ruins of the Hades Hive, the skies over Armageddon's northern hemisphere glowed an ominous red. The air fizzled. Many Furnace defenders had been drafted to join Harmeshel's offensive, significantly contributed to the breakdown in law and order within the Hive. To Helbrecht's disgust, Cornate cultists had overrun Furnace Quay, smearing their profane symbols across the dockyards and grounded vessels, stringing the leering skulls of their victims from loading cranes and gantries. To Helbrecht, whose ire had been raised by defeat, such blasphemy against the God Emperor was unforgivable. In his eyes, the embattled district's population was beyond salvation. Rallying his crusaders, he began a brutal purge of Infernus's outer districts. No distinction was made between friend and foe. Those districts had fallen to heretics, and rebels were scoured of life.
Wow. So they are just running around. They're doing the Inquisition's work at this point. They're just killing everybody.
So the Black Templars and the Space Wolves attack Hades Hive that has already fallen. They destroy it, but are unable to reclaim it. So they have to retreat because of the loss of life. They get back to the hive that they were coming from to realize that a bunch of the outer districts had fallen to chaos. And the Black Templars were so pissed that they just burned the outer districts and everyone in it to the ground.
And T3 comments, Black Templar sadly did some very soy boy stuff during this time, and Space Wolves having to tell them how they're making things worse. Yes, I know a little bit what we're going to go into as far as Helbrecht and Logan Gribnar talk. So, all right, let's. By the way, I want to say hi to Jay. What's going on, Mr. Spark? Thank you for stopping in here, and thank you for being a moderator tonight as well, just in case we're getting crazy chaos people on here. So, all right, let's move on.
Finally, the Grey Knights reveal themselves to the Space Wolves and Black Templars. Like, hey, we're actually here. We're actually trying to help too.
So now, does the Black Templars know who the Grey Knights are? Oh well, I remember reading that
they would have
comic
known.
book.
They would know about them.
Okay, no, actually, that was the Dark Angels. Yeah, I know that the Grey Knights are very secretive. But they make it sound like in the codexes for the Grey Knights that not even other chapters really know about them. But I think other chapters have an idea of like they've heard stories of the Grey Knights or they've come in contact with something along those lines. Correct?
Yeah.
I would think. Yeah. All right, so let's move on.
So now it kind of talks about they kind of finally come up with a plan to bait the Khorne attackers into a trap in the mountains, and try and draw them out while the Grey Knights are going to do a strategic strike, like we do. And they basically kind of position themselves in this mountain. And there's a really funny moment here. Grimnar and Helbrecht kept most of their warriors in reserves, drawing the enemy further up the slopes through pre-prepared kill zones. The Great Wolf had positioned his forces to cover the eastern approach, supporting lightly armed penal battalions and miasmin red cows dug in around the base of the complex. This formidable position afforded his long fades broad fields of fire overlooking the slopes and valleys below.
Wow.
And then they have a bunch of dreadnoughts line up along the southern wall.
Oh wow. Is it a mixture of Space Wolves and Black Templar, I'm guessing? Dreadnoughts at that point? Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, vulnerable dreadnoughts in our strike force. Have you heard anything about, like, are they going to do something in the new codex to make these, like, amazing or something?
No, I mean, maybe they'll change something. I have heard no rumors on what they're going to do with the Dreadnought. I just think they're trying to get rid of their stock, and they wanted to take the Dreadnought out of the combat box because they wanted to take the Dreadnought out of the combat patrol box because they're giving it the new upgrade sprue, and they needed to put a Grey Knight vehicle into the combat patrol box, but they don't want to put a Land Raider or a Razorback or a Rhino into it. So, what other Grey Knight vehicle do we have? Literally just a Dreadnought. That's my thought. I literally think that's it.
Do they not want to put a Rhino in there, a Razorback, because of the plastic that's associated with it? How much plastic, or what? Because obviously,
I think it's just like a bigger, like takes more space. It's also like, I don't think they want to sell that many Rhinos and Razorbacks because technically Rhinos and Razorbacks only go. Primaris Marines don't go in Rhinos and Razorbacks. They can only go in Impulsors and like the Grav tanks. So I don't know how long Rhinos and Razorbacks will stay around because they're only for Firstborn Marines.
I get it. So
I really think they just needed something else, and there is nothing.
Yeah, else. I mean, for me as a Grey Knight fan, the biggest moment of like triumph or like something amazing that happened with the vulnerable Dreadnought was in Chaos Gate Demon Hunter. Like that was the time when we've seen a vulnerable Dreadnought actually shine in the context of like the Grey Knights. That's the only time I can think of like something really cool happening with the vulnerable with the Dreadnoughts to the Grey Knights. So
and then
this art is awesome, by the way.
Yes, look how big Angron is. That's Angron.
God damn. So
he's massive.
So, I think were you no, I think it was prior to you. So we have the Joy Toy Angron in demon form coming out, his 40K form in, I think in August we're gonna get him. So and he is humongous, dude. He is huge.
Yeah.
And this picture, it doesn't even like equate to how big.
Well, so he is kind of like the Hulk, from what I understand. Is the more bloodshed and violence that happens, is he just gets bigger.
Oh shit!
Because he even says, only when the momentum of the traitors' assault slowed did Angron descend to battle. Plummeting from the skies to land amidst the rubble of the eastern walls, he lashed out with his blades, splitting open Helbrecht's dreadnoughts and cutting down Black Templars by the dozens. As the violence increased, the demon Primarchs seemed to swell with power.
Shit. So in regards to 40K, I would think, has Angron had the most action as a Primarch, like compared to like um Magnus and like some of the other traitor Primarchs, excluding like Rabutigilima, right, and the Lion. Like, have we seen in the past like 20 years most of the action
I
happen
mean,
with
they're
Angron?
not doing much with Fulgrim. I don't know how much is happening with Fulgrim right now outside of like the book that came out with him. And I don't really know. Like Magnus is also just kind of chilling. Like they haven't really talked about what he's doing right now. I think he's just also on his demon world.
I get it. So not really. So outside of so Angron's really been the
Angron's getting a lot of action right now. Angron also is the easiest to. Like he's a
I'm mad.
He's a really
I'm
reusable
angry.
villain, right? Like if
Correct.
like you could probably make like, oh, you killed Fulgrim, he's gonna come back because same with Magnus, but like Angron is a very easy, like he's dead. Here is his respawn timer almost.
Yeah, I get it. And his actions are very straightforward. He's a melee guy who's just gonna kick the shit out of everybody. I get it. That makes sense.
And so basically they draw Angron to a forge complex. And this part is awesome. It's a cool Grey Knight moment. The Demon Primarch eventually found himself in the gutted remains of a grime-slicked furnace. His burning gaze fell upon Tauros Hendron, the brother captain, and his bodyguard stood before him. He's the brother captain of the Grey Knights.
Yep.
On the floor, traced in powdered silver and bone, was a unicursal hexagram. At each of its 6 points stood one of the concaval vortex warheads recovered by Hendron from the complex's subterranean vaults. As Hendron intoned words of banishment, the Grey Knights opened fire with Stormbolter and Psy Weapon. The impact of the projectiles upon Angron's body stoked his fury further. He rushed forward, hatred and dismissive of his opponent's pathetic sorcery, proving the inconsequential nature of the occult symbols by smashing his way through them. The wards surrounding the circle, the most powerful Hendron could conjure, saw wisps of steam rise from Angron's body, searing and burning his flesh as he stepped fully inside. As he did so, Hendron reached for a detonator and thumbed the trigger. The binding circle had not been drawn, as Angron had suspected, to ensnare him. Its purpose instead had been to contain most of the fury of the detonating warheads. With a bubble of shimmering energy, rampant empiric force tore the demon Primarch's form asunder before collapsing with a thunderous crack. As the force field of psychically charged energy crumbled, a deafening rumble echoed through the forge complex bowels. Quakes rippled through the mountains, abyss shafts split slopes and swallowed loyalists and heretics alike. Thousands were buried beneath the collapsing mountains. Angron had been temporarily banished, but the price for success had been terrible. Few loyalists, fortunate enough to escape the apocalyptic destruction, dragged themselves back toward the relative safety of Hive and Furnace. The outcome of the conflict now hinged upon their allies' hopeful success in the fire wastes.
Wow. So
yeah, go ahead.
So essentially they sucked him in, or they pulled him in. He was trapped inside of it. They essentially made a force field around it, so they expanded upon the explosion he was stuck in, and it just ripped him apart.
Yeah, because they found, so basically underneath the complex while the fighting was happening, the Grey Knights found 6 vortex missiles.
Oh,
and then that's what they were saying. They had there was a vortex missile at each point of the 6-star
thing he did.
And so it was this big circle with warheads and Grey Knights in it. Angron shows up and starts killing them all. He's like, oh, look at this sorcery. You think this is going to hold me? Smashes through the bindings. The Grey Knight guy pulls it up and says, oh, no, that's not for you. That's for this. Click. And then detonates 6 vortex warheads, killing himself and Angron and collapsing the building. Not the building, the mountain.
Oh, and that's what. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's why they're saying, well, that destruction wasn't really. So really quick spoiler here. How long at this point now is Angron going to be dismissed for?
Days.
Oh
In
man.
in lore, I think it's like 8 days. Like it's at 8 days he can come back.
Wow.
So it doesn't say specifically, but literal days.
Wow. Very cool. Assault on the fire wastes, and we get a that is a purifier with a flamer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then there's a dread knight in the back there.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh
Baby
yeah, there
carrier there.
is. There we go. The NDK baby. Nice
Oh,
magic, nerd.
T3 is saying 13 days, so
Okay.
I think that's
Okay.
probably right.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I remember hearing that it's relegated to a much quicker time frame. So all
On
right.
the
So what are we looking
tabletop,
at here?
on the tabletop, if you kill Angron, at the start of every battle round, the World Leaders player gets to roll 8 dice, and if on any of them he gets triple sixes, he gets to revive Angron.
So essentially, if you're a World Eater player, you're throwing Angron out there immediately just to throw out some havoc, right? Because you have a chance to get him out.
He kills whatever he touches.
Wow.
And he's not like trivial to kill either. Like he's high toughness, 4-up invuln, I think 16 or 18 wounds. Like he's a beast.
How are the World Eaters doing as far as competitive play right now?
Probably top 5, top 10 right now.
Wow.
They also got they're one of the newer codexes out. Right
Yeah,
now.
that's right.
They've got they're pretty strong.
Is Angron in all of the army lists?
So he was a auto include in everything before the codex came out, and so because of that, the codex nerfed him, and so he has become, honestly, probably I don't think you even take Angron at all anymore, to be honest.
Really?
Before, his reviving mechanic was way better. He used to get revived with full health, and you still got your army rule. Now you either get to choose your army rule or revive him, and he only revives with I think 8 wounds.
Oh wow.
So
how many normally does Angron have?
I think 18.
Wow. Okay, so it's less than half. Interesting.
Yeah. So it's not as good anymore, and he's very expensive. For the price of him, you could bring more berserkers or 8-bound, and that's just way better now.
Wow. What's up, GG? You're not late, dude. Primarch load. The baby carrier had no chance.
It takes a couple. Listen. It's not about one. It's about the group. It's the collective effort. That's the whole thing about Grey Knights, right?
Correct.
It's the collective group.
By the way, the Grey Knight NDK is more like the armor, or not the armor, the lifter from the first Alien movie. That's essentially what it is. It's expanding upon, which is why you have Terminators in there. I know that I always hear people talk about, well, the driver is exposed. He's wearing Terminator armor. Okay.
And it even does specifically say that the armor of the Dread Knight isn't made out of anything different. It is also just ceramite. It's psychically shielded. That's the whole thing, right? Exactly. That's always what I tell my opponents. I'm like, it's a psychic thing. It's magic. Don't worry about it. It's magic. Yeah, people that don't ever understand, just go with magic.
It's a magic thing. I know Lone will love that. So
what
are
then
we
basically,
looking at here?
They realize now that they have gotten rid of Angron for a little bit, they start to make a plan to actually go into the fire wastes and destroy the monoliths and close the Red Angel's Gate.
Interesting. Cool.
And so this talks about the first landings in the fire wastes were made to the south. Morven's Grey Knight striked ahead of the main force, inserting a teleport strike and storm-rated gunships to engage the enemy and drive well-equipped and determined units of traitor infantry from their position overlooking the shores. Flint Eye's Wolf Scout infiltrated bunker networks and destroyed stubber nests, while assault ramps of First Landers drops and Imperial troops came out. So basically the beginning assaults into the fire wastes, which is just a giant desert mountain range of traitors and blood.
I get it. And they're making their way there because of the gate, essentially, of Angron, or the essentially that, right?
Well, the Red Angel's Gate, which is just a giant warp gate now that is this.
I get it. Do they know that Angron is only
No, so everyone now, Angron has been banished. They don't know they know that they know he can come back. He's come back before. But they know he is banished now at this point. He is gone. So now they're like, with him gone, we have to go because we don't know how long it will take for him to come back. So we have to close. We got to do it now.
Oh, I get it. Okay, so they know that they just don't know how much time they have essentially. So they're trying
They know he's
to
gone,
rush it.
but they don't know how much time they have, so they need to start going for it.
I get it. That makes sense. Very cool. I am very used to this. This is an awesome picture, by the way.
That's a very, very classic Grey Knight artwork. It does talk about on the far left there that Grandmaster Morven's preservers were not alone in heeding Titan's call to arms. Grandmaster Voldus and Brother Captain Stern rallied the fractured Third Brotherhood and set course for Armageddon. By the time they arrived in system, the World Eaters' invasion was already in full swing. With Morven's Brotherhood leading efforts on the planet's surface, Voldus and Stern joined the Void battle raging in high orbit. So Voldus and Stern and a little bit of the Third Brotherhood are there destroying ships in orbit.
Why do they say the fractured Third Brotherhood? What happened?
Well, all of the Brotherhoods are, even in, Emperor's Gift, right? They call themselves the Ragged Brotherhood.
Oh,
the Grey Knights are always spread so thin. I think.
I get it. Okay. Wow, very cool. So Aldrich does not actually come onto Armageddon.
No, not at all. And that's the only bit that they're mentioned is just that little blurb.
Okay.
But it is kind of cool though for Grey Knight fans. You see that and you're like, oh, that's cool. I know those people. They're Grey Knight named characters. I have their mini in my thing, and now I know what they're actually doing right now.
Exactly. So, quick question, because I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to this, but Dragor isn't in this, correct?
Not at all. 0.
Oh, god damn it.
0. The last we've heard from Drago, he was in the non-canon Chaos Gate stabbing Mortarion again.
Yes. Oh, yes. By the way, I'm going to do a playthrough once I'm done with Battle Sector. We're going to do a playthrough of Chaos Gate Demon Hunter again. Dude, I think I told you. I've said this ad nauseum. I played that game for like 950 plus hours, dude. So I'm going to do a clean run through, which is one of the best.
It's such a good game,
games ever, dude. So, all right, so let's go into. So what else?
Talks about they've located now that there are 2 remaining monoliths that are holding open the gate, or like they're the final ties to. If they can destroy those, then they'll be able to close the gate easier. So this talks about closing the last 2 monoliths. A couple of cool things that happen in this one. The Grey Knights and the Space Wolves attack one of the monoliths together. The traitors return into the monolith, and then the Grey Knights go into it. But they start getting attacked by the named 8-bound, the Skriel guy at the beginning there.
Oh,
and the Space Wolf captain and the named 8-bound Skriel basically fight to the death and kill each other, but it lets the Grey Knights blow up the last monolith. Something I thought that was funny, though, from this bit was they talk about how, it actually goes on, the Gore Beacon, this is the one they're at, on the next page. It talks about how they blow it up and the Grey Knights teleport away, but it doesn't say anything about the Space Wolves that are still inside.
Sorry, dude.
So the Space Wolves and the Grey Knights go in together, fight and kill all these guys, and one of the Space Wolf captains sacrifices himself to kill the other 8-bound, and then they blow it up and the Grey Knights teleport out.
we don't forget that.
It says, okay, the Gore Beacon's obsidian surface crackled and splintered as empiric forces erupted from within. The surviving Grey Knights vanished amidst emergency teleportation flares in an instant before a colossal detonation swallowed the surviving Space Wolves and 8-bound alike.
They're not leaving behind troops. They're leaving behind the guys who are not effective. Okay, they've served their purpose.
Listen,
the Grey Knights getting out.
You get one. Your teleportation devices are like parachutes, right? You get one per person. You can't take anyone else.
They got told by her parents to leave.
So I thought that was a funny little bit.
No,
Grey Knights. Oh God! Teleport out. Everyone else. Dies.
Don't they? I know that. So in Cascade Demon Hunters, obviously we see that, right? We're seeing from the ship the team's teleporting down. No other chapter has that, right? No other chapter because they're using a warp.
It's rare. So like a lot of in the tabletop there are like Terminators just teleport in normally, but
Correct.
there is also teleport homers, which are like little like beacons that they drop, and I think normally they shoot those down, so they're kind of like a one-way trip. I don't like. It is very rare that, and it's also very valuable on the tabletop when a unit has the ability to go back into Deep Strike. And so, like, a lot of times it's a once per game thing that someone can use their teleportation to go back into teleportation. Grey Knight's army rule on the tabletop is I can do that with basically any unit, and 3 units per turn. You can just go up. So it's like every Grey Knight has the ability to be recalled and go back into teleportation from the ship all the time. It is a very rare technology. Like, I know the Dark Angels have it.
Sure.
And like it's a very rare technology.
I get it.
For both ways, and to do it as much as they do.
Serves him right. Oh yeah, give up lives and complain later when you're losing and asking for reinforcements.
I wasn't saying I agree with it. I thought it was funny.
Honestly, the Imperium is stupid. Sometimes a little logistics and I'll say this: that was absolutely worth it, because after reading the Emperor's Gift and seeing, was it Logan Grimnar jump across and just chop the Grandmaster in piece?
Yeah, in half, just straight in half.
I'm like, wait, what the fuck? The Grandmaster is supposed to be as powerful, nearly like on par in some level with the Custodes.
Though to be fair, that axe that Grimnar is using is insane. It's reforged from he killed a demon so hard he turned it into an axe. So if anything could do it, that would make sense.
All right. This is awesome art, by the way. Obviously, this is also pretty famous art. I remember seeing this. This is not new, correct?
No, this is just the way they depict the warp and demons is like in pictures like this. I think are awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, I'd get this as a display.
Yes. I'm looking right now at my Grey Knights display, which is the chapter, not the chapter seal. I guess so. The chapter seal with the shield, the sword, and the winged, and the Terminator helm in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
so the last like page there, this last spread after that is the final assault on the Red Gate.
Okay.
Right after this.
I got it. Super over.
Yeah,
oh man,
good, nice Grey Knight full Terminator.
Dude, I was gonna say, man, I don't know, dude. I feel like the Grey Knight Terminators are the best looking Terminators in all of Warhammer 40K. The helms, especially, even the Interceptors, the power armor variants of the helms for them, for the Grey Knights, are absolutely the best looking helmets, hands down. I think that they're. I'm surprised we don't see more stuff with the Grey Knights regarding that, but I think that they have some of the best looking armor, Terminators, even their power armor with the purifiers, with the white helms on. I just think that they're just like awesome. So what else are we looking at here?
So then this is the final assault on the Red Gate. It basically talks about how waves of Astra Militarum are going and attacking. Once that they have realized that everything else has been destroyed, the unbinding of the Brazen Citadel and the Gore Beacon. By
the way, Lone, it is not debatable. Grey Knights have the best looking Terminators. I'm sorry, it is not debatable.
Yeah, upon the sundering of the Brazen Citadel and the Gore Beacon, which are those 2 last monoliths, the one where the Grey Knights teleported away, the Red Angel's Gate visibly mutated. Its blood pool surface flickered, the storm clouds above crashing together to release booming peals of thunder. The red haze above the Crimson Mesa became weaker and less distinct. Demons twitched and snarled, casting their gaze back towards the portal. To most mortals, such changes were little more perceptible than shifting weather fronts or changing wind. To Grey Knights, however, the effects were profound, as if a pressure valve had been released in their psyches. The corona of warp energy that wreathed the gate's crimson mass, visible only to those with warp gifts, shrunk back. These signs revealed to Grandmaster Morvans that the anchors had been lifted. With this task done, the grand ritual required to seal the portal could begin.
Wow. All right. So the Great Edge are really the only ones who can see or sense that what
Yeah,
they've
basically
accomplished has
psychers.
been
Any
completed.
psychers would be seeing it.
I get it. Interesting.
Yeah. So then the Space Wolves, Grey Knights, and Black Templars led the assault on the slopes, pressing forward under heavy fire to clear snarling cultists from bolt holes and clefts in the rock face. Numerous monstrous and psychotic foes streamed down from the Mesa summit to intercept Morven's forces, but the Space Marine's momentum was now unstoppable. The Grey Knights, led by Morven's nemesis Dread Knight, cut a swath through demonic hordes from the portal. The Loyalists did not take long to reach the mountain's flattened peak and the furious empiric glare that rose above it. So
That's awesome.
Grandmaster Morven's gets in his Dread Knight, and specifically because this is supposed to be coming out with the new Dread Knight sprue, he has the whole flail and everything.
The base.
Yes, he's got all the new doohickeys and everything.
I got the new one. Let's go. Dude,
Yep.
I have another Joy Toy NDK to unbox and open.
We did it. Actually, that's a good point, T3. There is a moment in this that all of the fighting and everything from the Red Angel's Gate releases a tidal wave of blood and gore that drowns the guardsmen.
What?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly where it is, so I won't be able to find the exact quote. But I remember reading it. There's a tidal wave of blood and gore that drowns platoons of guardsmen.
So, that unleashed Angron. So is this when Angron came back, or what was this point? When did this happen? Or maybe T3 can. T3, when did this happen? When Angron was coming back, or arrived the first time, or was sent down the first time, or when they were fighting?
I think it was when he arrived the first time.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's about to arrive on the next
okay, yeah. He's saying it's when Angron first arrives. I get it.
Yeah. So basically, to set the stage, Librarian Torvik led 8 Grey Knight Paladins closer to the gate. Each bore a shard of Angron's shattered black blade in one gauntleted hand, as their Terminator brother held back waves of cultists and demons streaming across the Mesa's peak. The Paladins held the shard aloft and channeled their psychic might into the hell-forged metal. They chanted sorcerer's incantations while traced fire and blood hexagrams in the air. The 8 fragments of the black blade rose to float before the glowing mass of the gate. Librarian Torvik stood closest to the portal's blazing heart, raising his warding stave aloft as he uttered the syllabus of a sealing spell. With the fractured blade fragments acting as arcane focus, the Grey Knights pooled their psychic might to reverse the flow of the empiric ley lines, drawing Angron's fury out of the planet's crust and back into the heart of the Red Angel's Gate. The mountain shook, tremors rippled from the ley lines and opened chasms in the earth. The gate contracted as a pained response to the sorcery. Fault lines cracked open in the swirling maelstrom, spilling torrents of bloodstained ectoplasm. Morven swung his nemesis mace into a clustered pack of demons, obliterating their forms in a ball of azure fire. As he smashed the fiend aside, he felt a bruising pressure forming in the recesses of his skull. The gate's contractions continued increasing in frequency. Something was coming through. Dread Knights at his side. The Grandmaster turned toward the looming threat. Even through the warp energy tearing at his armored suit's lattice wards, clawing at his consciousness, he recognized the demon's spore. Angron had returned.
Oh boy. We only got rid of him for a little while, but it's okay. You know what would have been funny is if they referenced how many great knights were with them, and it matches up exactly to how many Dread Knights are currently in like the most popular run for armies, for 2,000-point armies. That would be funny.
So I'm running 5. I believe he has either 3 or 4 total, counting himself.
Okay. Now so obviously we're waiting to see once we get the codex to come out, and then we're obviously going to have how is this going to work with the NDK that's coming out is it another NDK or is it just extra?
So I'm guessing they will update the loadout that the Grandmaster Dread Knight can take.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be able to take a wide variety, but I'm guessing they will keep the regular Dread Knights the same, being able to only pick between 3. But I actually don't know that. Maybe they'll be able to pick between all of the new gun and the new melee weapons, but I don't actually know.
Interesting. And so now because they don't sell the NDKs separately, right? So and in the new strike, right? I don't think so. Right?
They usually they have a Dread Knight box that's by itself.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, and so they'll just re-release it now with the upgrade sprue in it.
Okay, that makes sense. Oh man, that's a great shot of the best looking Terminator in all of. Oh wow, this looks cool.
Yeah,
oh, here we go.
This is one of my favorite pictures in the whole book.
Oh yeah, there's the broken sword.
Yeah,
and there's a World Eater about to get smacked in the face.
Yeah, so you got that's a Berserker there. That like guy with a chainsaw arm, that's a that is a what's those? Oh, that's a Defiler. You fight one of those. That's one of the bosses in Chaos Gate. You remember there's a Nurgle Defiler.
That's right.
It's the big crab-legged guy. That's a corn one. Not to mention that giant corn symbol. I'm assuming that's the gate right there.
Oh yeah.
It's in that.
Wow, very cool. This is the first time I've seen this. This is the full art of that cover page.
Also,
so is that
Grey Knight Razorback, shout out, is right behind the guy with the flag.
Oh yeah,
Razorbacks, baby.
Razorback spam coming at you. It's like 30 guys. So now I'm guessing that's the fifth. It's the Grandmaster of the fifth company.
No, because he's in his Dread Knight, so I think that's just a guy.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, and you can clearly see his Nemesis Force Blade is broken. Interesting.
I still think he's gonna mess up that bloodletter coming at him though.
I'm seeing a lot of guys without their helmets on here. I'm already seeing 2 close up. So if I was part of the Grey Knights, that would be my main thing is everybody would be docked points.
Your first rule is Grandmaster. Everyone.
Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah, everybody better have their freaking helmet on.
So this final spread is the last bit of lore for Armageddon Crusade. Everything after this is the rules.
Okay.
But this is the final fight. Angron emerged from the crimson haze of the Red Angel's Gate, flames licking at the outline of his imposing bulk. Polychromatic wisps of warp energy rose from his skin, and silver forks of lightning traced down from the warp storm to illuminate his monstrous form. The thunderous explosion erupted from the fulmination whenever the fulmination struck. Immediately, the demon Primarch's gaze took in the Grey Knights. His monstrous face twisted in a snarl of rage as he caught the stench of sorcery. He could feel the accumulating energy of a ritual incantation reaching their culmination. He could hear the mortals whispered mutterings traced with weakness and deceit. 8 paladins knelt in place on the southern side of their rift, their backs to the battle raging across the slopes. Each was deep in concentration, fighting to utter the nightmare syllables of their grand spell of exorcism. Grey Knight Terminator stood beside their kneeling warriors as the reborn demon Primarch. The Battle Brothers, too, had pooled their psychic might, projecting a psychic barrier around the kneeling paladins that shimmered gold, turning aside incoming fire from advancing heretics. Already, their silver armor was stained with gore, and the ground before them was strewn with the discorporeating corpses of fallen demons. Lots of fighting. With a wordless roar of anger, Angron charged forward, crashing into Terminators. He lashed out with Spine Grinder. That's his axe. The 2 snarled chain axe chewed hungrily through the first warrior's latticed wards and ceramite plate, bisecting him at the waist. The ragged halves of the Grey Knights crashed to the ground. Hot blood jetted from the dying warrior's ruined body. A tide of diabolic warriors followed the demon Primarch from the portal, tearing their way through the surface of the gate in every direction. Massed ranks of bloodletters loped forward. Profane banners of Flen-skinned waved in the searing wind, their brazen war horns howling. Blood Crushers, which are their big juggernauts, that's what their big rhino-looking things are called, juggernauts. Or Blood Crusher cavalry coursed out of the maelstrom, smashed into the Terminators. Their arrival emboldened mortal traders assaulting the southern slopes, lending fresh strength and fury to the tiring bodies. It continues. If you don't mind me reading this.
No, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a script of this, and I'm gonna create a YouTube video, animated YouTube video of just this, because this is all Grey Knight shit. So I'm gonna make.
Yeah, this is literally just Grey Knights fighting Angron right now.
Dude, I'm gonna make a whole thing. I'm gonna take this whole thing and make a script of this, and I'm going to make this animated. This is awesome. Go ahead, keep going.
Grandmaster Rothwin Morvans, having been engaged in heavy fighting atop the southern slope, noted Angron's arrival. Moving to face the Red Angel's advance, he steered his nemesis Dread Knight through the mass of jackal cultists, swinging his mace through their ranks and pitched broken bodies aside. Brother Vorns and Gorn, I think it's funny that they rhyme. Vorin and Gorin followed suit, aiming their arm-mounted weapons toward a pursuing unit of berserkers. The Dread Knights opened fire, unleashing volumes of Azure annihilation from their heavy incinerators and bathing the oncoming world eaters in a torrential gouts of cleansing fire. The flames burned through ceramite, reducing the assailants to a molten slurry. Warding through the clawing, slashing torrent of cultists, Grandmaster Morven swept his nemesis mace from side to side, sundering mortal forms with each mighty swing. Brother Gorn skewered a thrashing goremonger across the tip of his nemesis greatsword, raising the screeching heretic aloft before casting it into a mass of jackals, knocking several from their feet. Brother Vorin turned his Gatling silencer onto a charging blood crusher. Searing beams of psychically charged energy slammed into the brass armored steed and burned through the demonic rider's chest, pitching both of the gore to the gore-slick stone.
So we got Grandmaster Morvis. He's got his nemesis mace.
And two other, Dread Knights.
So we got the Great Sword for one, and we got the Silencer for him.
So this is what makes me think that this is a small teaser for the Codex, that the Grandmasters are only going to have access to the new weapons. Because
I was going to say that.
They've only talked about the Great Sword on the regular Dread Knight, which he has access to, the Gatling Silencer, which he has access to, and the Incinerator, which he has access to.
Yup, that's what I think too. That's exactly what I was going to... That was the point of what I was saying, but yeah, exactly. Yeah. Keep going.
Morvins continued forward, dividing his attention between taking in the state of the battlefield and lashing out at those around him. The paladin still knelt in concentration, even as more demons pushed forward from the gate. His psychic sense revealed their absolute focus upon completing the exorcism ritual. They trusted their outmatched battle brothers to shield them from harm long enough. Before each of the kneeling paladins floated a shard of Angron's black blade, and now this is a mouthful. Vergoth. There's like there's like an apostrophe in there. Each arcane focus was wreathed in power, which formed a shimmering energy field between them. Morvins could feel the pull of the rift upon his psyche as the spell reached its crescendo. The storm above had already begun to retreat, drawn down into the eye of the portal, the gate glutting itself upon its own corruption. The shield conjured by the Fifth Brotherhood's Terminators flickered as Angron butchered his way through them. A half-dozen battle brothers now lay dead in the dead Primarch's wake. The Red Angel's onslaught threatened to foil the Grey Knight's plan. All that mattered now was stopping the demonic beast. From the Vox, disengage! Focus your fire on Angron! Morvins projected the order by psychic impulse to Gorn and Vorn. Casting must be completed. Angron drove Spinegrinder deep into the skull of another Terminator and wrenched it free, pulling with a stream of blood and brain matter.
Let me ask you a question here. Okay. Yes. Because we just saw art of how large Angron is, okay? Now we're talking, so is he smaller when he came back at this point? Because if we're talking about driving it through a Terminator head, like at this point, that sword is so freaking huge, like him just swinging it down is just annihilating anything.
So he's probably slightly smaller because, he just got brought back, but he is always massive. So like literally that is always just like, every single swing is taking a Terminator in half.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, keep going.
He strode past a twitching corpse and with a brutal overhand strike broke through the faltering psychic shield, driving the teeth of the power axe deep into a paladin's helm and down into the warrior's body. So literally just bang, one hand straight through.
He's doing the you ever take a hammer and you try to get one nail down? That's what he's doing to each of the Terminators.
He bellowed in incandescent fury as adamantine teeth ground through bone, muscle, and vital organs. A great arc of blood and gore spurted from the dead Space Marine's body, sizzling as it splashed against the scorched rock. A single shard of the black blade clattered to the ground. Angron saw the remaining slivers of black stone flicker and felt the spell weaken. As he strode toward the next of the kneeling knights, a barrage of azure bolts struck his brandished burnished brass plate. Oh my goodness, they got some tongue twisters in here. And bore into his crimson flesh, releasing gouts of arcid smoke and pyroclasmic gore. The demon Primarch snarled in rage, his malevolent glare falling upon the trio of dread knights. He broke into a loping run, his iron hooves throwing up red dust as he covered the ground towards the Grey Knights. He crashed into the nearest dread knight's shoulder first, propelling the warsuit backwards and sending it tumbling across the rocky ground before launching himself high into the air, coming down atop the prone warsuit, bringing Spinegrinder down again. The dread knight convulsed violently as its pilot was bifurcated in an eruption of gore and splintered metal.
God
So
damn.
literally shoulder checked a dread knight, threw it onto its back, jumped into the air with its wings, and slammed down onto the pilot, cutting him in two.
Wow. Shit. By the way, if the Dread Knight had more armor, it wouldn't have made a damn difference if he was covered in front armor.
Yeah.
He would still been
Well,
chopped in half.
yeah, all right. Dreadnought, Dread Knight, tank, it doesn't matter. Angron's
No.
coming in.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
Another of the Dread Knights opened fire at point-blank range, engulfing Angron's body in flame. The demon Primarch roared, charging out of the inferno, propelling himself at the next of the towering warsuits, launching a flurry of armor-shattering blows. Most were parried aside or turned aside by the Nemesis Dread Knight's warded armor. Others smashed through arcane defenses and bit into silver plate. One severed a hydraulic line, spilling oily fluid over the Dread Knight and demon Primarch alike. Another bit into a knee joint, shattering servo motors and leaving Vorin limping. With a snarl, Angron brought his barbed tail sweeping around, knocking the Dread Knight from its feet, stamping upon the prone warrior's harness with a cloven brass-shod hoof. Saramite splintered and collapsed, bone shattered, blood jetted forth.
Damn.
That's 2 Dread Knights now. Angron raised his weapon to land the killing blow on Vorin's downed Dread Knight. Grandmaster Morvins drew upon his psychic might and charged forward. The Nemesis mate rimmed with azure fire. He crashed into Angron's flank with a dazzling explosion of force. The demon Primarch reeled, throwing his head back and letting out a bellow of apoplexy. Oh my god. Morvins drove past Angron's bulk, parrying brutal blow after brutal blow and positioning himself between the demon Primarch and his last surviving brothers. He felt a well of hatred bubbling up from the pit of his soul. Righteous hatred.
Wow.
Spinegrinder, now clotted with bloody gristle, slammed into his Dread Knight's force field, which flickered and strained as they deflected the blow. Morvins hit back, swinging his warsuit's fist into the monster's ribs. A satisfying crack rang out as demonic flesh and armor broke under the force of the strike. He struck again, driving Angron back towards the portal. The ritualistic casting had reached its crescendo now. Morvins felt the gate's empiric magnetism tearing at his psyche. Angron, too, clearly felt its pull. Demon Primarch's skin began to blister and peel from its body. The burning hatred in his eyes, however, remained undimmed. Around the combatants, the Grey Knights had drawn back to surround the remaining paladins. Demons, cultists, and world eaters continued to hurl themselves upon them. Other loyalist forces were interspersed amid the unfolding fight, unable to make any significant headway against the teeming masses of heretics.
See, by the way, T3, if you're listening, that's where the Space Wolves are right now.
Yes. I mean, it is, right, it is unimaginable, right? The chaos that is happening on top of this mountain right now.
Yep, exactly.
Morvin his mace. Angron's intercepted the blow with the crook of his chain axe and twisted, bending the Dread Knight's arm back and wrenched hard with a bellow of exertion. With a screech of shearing metal, the limb came free. Angron struck again. Samnarius, which is his new sword, slammed into the Dread Knight's frame and bit deep its burning blade, driving through the harness and into Morvin's breast. He exhaled in pain as Angron wrenched at the demon blade, attempting to free it from his innards. Waves of agony coursed through the Grandmaster's body. With a final blooming syllable, the paladins completed their ritual. The 8 slivers of the black blade were snatched up by the empiric vacuum of the dwindling rift and drawn into its mouth. Demons screeched as their physical forms were torn apart and cast back into the warp. Loyalists and heretic soldiers battling across the Crimson Mesa's southern slope clutched at their skulls, blood streaming from their eyes as the rift tore at their very souls. With Angron's weapon lodged at his chest, Morven drew upon his last reserve of strength. He pressed his Dread Knight's shoulder into Angron's chest and drove the snarling demon towards the gate's imploding core. Locked in a violent embrace, the two were dragged into the abyss, the last of Morven's lifeblood pooling from his body. Fleeting visions of Armageddon flashed through his mind. Aquila banners raised high, battles yet to be fought, champions risen and heroes slain. As death rushed to meet him, he felt the empiric shockwave of the Red Angel's gate collapse into nothingness behind him. His duty was at an end. Armageddon's suffering would continue.
Wow.
And that is it. That is all of the lore that they've given us for Crusade Armageddon.
That's awesome.
Part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
That's okay. We got a lot of Grey Knight stuff. That's awesome, dude. Thank you for reading that too. Very cool.
Yeah, that is like, if there's one page to read, I think that is it. Like, that is
wow.
Whew.
Yep. And here we go. This is we saw this before. Here's the full page spread from Adepticon when we got the announcement officially of the Armageddon book plus the detachment of the Grey Knights and also the the Grand Master unit that was coming. But this is awesome. This is really cool. Great job, dude. Great job. All right, let's move on. So now we're getting into the rules, right?
Yeah, the actual Crusade rules. And so every Crusade book will have the same starting thing on explaining how to put together a Crusade force. And a Crusade force is kind of like a growing roster where you start at a small amount of squads, and then as you go on, you add, as you continue on, like I said, as you do the battles and take over the sectors, like we were saying at the beginning of the Crusade zones or the risks that the levels of control of the planet or whatever, your units will get battle honors and you can actually level your units up. So like that's another thing that's cool with Crusade is you actually can you can name your units, right? So you can have a 5 unit of interceptors, which can be what was it in the Emperor's Gift, Squad Cassius or something like that.
Yes. Yep.
Right, so you can have Squad Cassius, and every game that they live or do something cool, they'll get experience points, and then they can get battle honors. And so every Crusade book will explain kind of how to make that roster and how to build your army, because it is an extra bit of list building on the tabletop.
I get it. That makes sense. That's cool. So we'll brush through this.
That's what the first little bit will be. Yeah.
Yeah. The order of battle, Crusade.
Yeah, it talks about how you organize your Crusade forces. And how Crusades work, really.
Yep. And then requisitions. This is the other forces outside of the
so that's adding more forces and adding fresh forces, healing, because your forces, if they die in game, they'll take battle scars, and so you can heal them with requisition points and stuff like that.
I get it. Very cool. And then this goes into the Crusade cards. So the Crusade cards are what you're using to
track
draw
the experience of your units.
Oh,
right? So the Crusade card there will be a specific unit, and then as it goes, we'll talk about what abilities or level ups or cool upgrades they got, or battle scars and their experience points and all that kind of stuff.
Very cool. Out of action.
Yeah, so it talks about how they get hurt, they get knocked out, or they'll take wounds that will last throughout the games and stuff like that. Cool. And then as it continues on, it goes the other way, right? Battle ranks and honors. As people survive or do cool stuff, kill important units, they get experience points and level up. Some cool Grey Knight art.
So then we're starting to get some of the a D&D feel almost too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Weapon modifications. So these are weapon modifications that you get either through experience or finding something. Is there anything like that in this? Yeah,
so it's weapon modifications are upgrades made to warriors' armaments that improve their lethality. Each time this unit gains a battle honor, you can select one model in that unit, and then they get to select a weapon. So it's not even your whole unit; it's a single model in your unit gets a weapon upgrade.
Wow. And then mustering Crusade army. So this is the select. Oh, okay. So this is your points per army. Wow, the 3,000 point. So when you played, which we'll get to in a little bit, how many points did you play?
So because we were playing kind of fluffy, kind of thematic, we wanted to set up some certain scenarios from happening. We wanted to make sure things happened. We played with probably slightly over 2,000, maybe 2,100, 2,200.
Okay. Start your army roster, enemy faction, detachment rules. Cool. Select your warlord.
And this is that whole page is also very, that's like also very common. Other than like the Crusade relic parts, like that is what a regular game of 40K looks like at the very beginning of selecting the battle size, your army roster, your faction, detachment, warlord. That is all the same across all of 40K.
I get it. Armageddon. I'm gonna guess this is going into the specific rules of the campaign. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I get it. So this is the campaign rules.
Yeah, so the three factions in this one is the Gatebreakers, those who seek to stem the tide of chaos, Desecrators, those who wish to transform Armageddon to a nightmare world of endless carnage, and the Marauders. And this is specifically, the Marauders are interesting. It's those who ally with neither of the above alliances, who seek to sow chaos or to achieve esoteric ends or to make opportunistic attacks. So this could be like a group of like, you could have the Orcs, a Tau player, and a Necron player, and they could all be there for different reasons in their head, right? The Necron player is there because maybe there's a tomb world or something underneath it, you know. The Tau player is there, you know, that kind of thing.
God damn, poor Armageddon. Imagine there was a tomb world.
Yeah.
So narrative goals, campaign points, strategic points, right?
And so then this
what are
is
Gatebreakers?
So the Gatebreakers, that's the good guy faction. That's the Imperium faction. So this is what you this is kind of like campaign stages. So there's the stage 1, and if they complete their objective, they get a success. And then so this is kind of like their mission game plan, and
their
what success and failure, what their narrative success or failure looks like. And so the next one is for the Desecrators, and the next one is for the Marauders after that. And kind of what success and failure looks like to each of those factions.
Oh, I get it. What they have to accomplish. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's a Crusader badges. Okay, badges, Marauders, the battle traits. So this is what? These are special upgrades for the
these are also more upgrades for your units.
I get it.
Yeah, so this is as they go through and live through battles and stuff, they'll get this.
I get it. Mighty Champions. Same thing. Crusade relics. Okay.
Yeah.
Crusade battles, mission. Okay, so that's going more into that. We got some more awesome.
This is just actually talking through the actual steps of the actual game itself, right?
Oh, I get it.
Step 1, select battle size, but then as you keep going right and on to this page you're on, right? You literally have deploy, redeploy, determine first turn, set up warp events, begin the battle, end the battle, determine victories, right? So it literally tells you the steps of not the game itself, but going through what a game looks like.
I get it. Now, is this similar to a normal tabletop version game playthrough of 40K?
So there will be a lot of extra stuff, like extra added stuff, right? You won't have all the extra abilities and units. And then also right on the page we're on now, there's these hellscapes, which are terrain hazards and things that will affect both players. There aren't any of that like weirdness in like competitive.
I get it. Okay.
And so this just talks about like all the different anomalies or warp landscapes or warp changes that could happen. So like folded space, that very first one, which one of the missions I played today was on. Your unit can do an action in your shooting phase on the objective marker that's in your deployment zone, and if it completes at the end of your turn, you then get to teleport yourself into your opponent's deployment zone outside of 3 inches of any enemy units. So it's literally your deployment zone objective marker is a warp portal into your opponent's deployment zone.
Holy shit! And you can constantly use it like that?
You only one unit, but yes.
Oh, only one. I got it.
And so there's a bunch of different like little.
You could send your NDK into there.
Yes. Yeah.
I get it. Wow. Oh, can you play Drago in something like this?
Most Crusades don't really like named or like epic heroes. Yeah,
I get it.
Because it's kind of about your force, right?
I get it. All right, and then we move on, and this is
so there's a couple just different the different like twists to the thing, and same thing with these warp anomalies in each different battlefield, right? Because even as you go along, right, the warp anomalies in the first battlefield, right, before the red gate has reached its crescendo or whatever, won't be as bad as or as big as when you are fighting in front of the red gate.
Oh, I get it.
And so, yeah, you see like there's like intensity key at the bottom there, how big it is even.
Yep.
This is really neat. I will say this part of the Crusade I really like. So this is Unbound Adversary. So this is each mission has now a third deployment zone that has a pool of basically demons that are in it that just attack and have their own turn in the game that attack the closest enemy model that is on either player's team.
Oh, wow.
And so depending on the power level or whatever, and it goes on the next page, goes through the sequence of these, like basically the DM or the game master controlled demons. And then it even gives you they made their own data sheets on the next page for the different types of demons, unbound demons that both players will encounter.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Greater demon, lesser demon, abomination, demonic beast. So the greater demon is basically a toned down bloodthirster, the big ones.
Okay.
The lesser demons are toned down versions of the bloodletters. Abominations are toned down versions of the spawns. Demonic beasts, toned down versions of the rhinos, the juggernauts.
Sure.
And so they kind of like are a stage hazard that also fight in the game. And so that was kind of fun to have like these random demons be there and also fighting both players.
I get it. Interesting. Faction Crusade Blessings. So this is the Crusade Blessings. And this is the agendas and tactical agendas. Whoop. Mike, you there? Well, I think he went LD for a minute. Yep, he did. So move on a little bit until Mike comes back. He might have. I know they were having some thunderstorms by him. So, we got the agendas, the tactical agendas here. Very cool. I'm very interested in trying to play a tabletop version of this with my Grey Knight army to see what it's like. I really would be very interested in. I think that this would be a good way for me to throw my Grey Knight 2K army out there. I'd be very interested in trying this. So very cool. And then we get over to the missions portion of it. They call it the Red Angel's Gate, those cursed. So this is going to be the portion where it literally, you have your missions based upon what you're playing. And these are the side missions, I guess, when you're playing. I'm surprised if there would be a tomb. I wouldn't be surprised, T3, if there was a Tomb World on Armageddon. With everything that's gone on, I would not be surprised at all. Would not be surprised. So this is, I'm gonna guess the missions are when you're playing the normal game. These are extra things that you can accomplish, kind of like what the tabletop has, where they have those extra missions to accompany it. So we got Total Domination, Brazen Bridge. So these are all the Crusade missions. Yeah, that's what this seems like. These are extra things. We're almost at the end here too. Fighting Gravity. We got any more cool art? And then we get the Hellscapes. Oh, this opens up cool. Anomalies. And I think that's pretty much it. What's up, Mike? You are back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened
there. Sound on. Hold on one sec. There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
All right, cool. Very cool. I just I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to come back. So I just went through. We just went over the missions, right?
Yeah.
And I guess my only quick question to you is, for the missions, right? Is this kind of like the tabletop where you have those side missions essentially?
Yeah, so there aren't like secondary cards. That's like, I think there was like each faction has its own like kind of mission secondaries that it'll have. So you won't be drawing cards like on the competitive tabletop, but this does set out like the deployment zones like on the tabletop, and then also what the like primary mission of each player is.
Oh, I get it. Okay. Interesting. So then we get this to the very end because they go through all the different missions that you have.
Yeah. And they all kind of loosely follow like a battle or something from the actual story.
I get it. Cool. And then at the very end, because they go through all the missions, we go to the end here. If I can get to it. Here we go. So the Hellscapes? What is this?
So that's they had that on the previous pages. Those are like the weird warp twists.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It just gives you like a fold out, and then like the cards, like we were talking about.
Are they as annoying as what's in the
Yeah, like
PSK
the warp
Demon Hunter?
surges. Yes, I would say they can be as they seem to be as annoying.
I get it. Yeah, because my what did I do? I forgot what I did. I always took somebody, I think it was a librarian, and then I would always use his ability to lessen the warp effect. So
Yeah.
I would have matches where I literally, or games where I would have no warp storms whatsoever.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, cool. All right, so that is the end of the full guide overall. One thing that I want to jump into really quickly before we go over to your video is the issue of White Dwarf, right? And we'll quickly go through this because this had some stuff regarding the Grey Knights in it. And what I'm going to start doing is I'll talk to you first, because what I'd like to do is I'll cherry pick the issue that I'm thinking of picking up. I'll talk to you about it, and we'll do another of these sessions, right? Where we go. Obviously, we're going to do this with the Codex for the Grey Knights, but I want to do this also with an issue. If you think that there's some information in there that is valuable or interesting to go over, right?
Yeah.
So for this one, I think this is the latest one. I think they might be coming out with 513 at this point, but as an awesome cover of Mortarion, obviously the tie to everything's got to have a tie to the Grey Knights for me. All right, I'll be honest with you. Like if I'm gonna be interested in shit, it's got to have something to do with the Grey Knights. So Mortarion, obviously, with the Cascade Demon Hunter, right? The from your perspective with the White Dwarf, first of all, do you read the current issues of White Dwarf, or is it kind of like I've talked to?
I did a 9th edition because sometimes they used to release like rules or extra add-ons for the actual tabletop that you could use. But I have since stopped.
That's what I was saying. I was talking to the Remembrancer and also Sam Manterra in the interview. By the way, check out the videos for those interviews. Those are pretty cool. But they had essentially the same thing. They used to read them, but because everything is backlogged, or you can go to it now and get previous issues information on Warhammer Plus, that's where they would go to it, right? So they're not picking up the latest editions of these. So so obviously we get Nurgle. This is a great painted version of Nurgle. We get, who is this? Tome Keeper's Blade Guard. Tome Keepers, who are they? The secondary, or the successor chapter of?
Might be Ultramarines, actually.
In chat, guys, if anybody remembers, who are the Tome Keepers? Who are they a successor chapter of? I forget.
It is the Ultramarines. I was right.
It is the Ultramarines. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, this is a really cool looking. So this is Astra Militarum. Have you seen anything like this on the tabletop when you're playing?
Truck like that? No.
Yeah.
No, not with the hitch and everything. No, it looks like the front of a Torox, which I've seen before, but not anything like that.
So, all right. So it's the Tome Keepers. They got some stuff for them. I want to get really quickly. We'll brush over really quickly some of the cool stuff. So how about orcs? Have you come across?
I have fought a Stampa before.
All right, and here we go. So notes on the play guard. It is the task of Grey Knights to combat demonic forces, blah, blah, blah. So again, they're talking a little bit about the scrolls, blah, blah, blah. Following excerpts, draw the forbidden tomes. Oh, so they're getting the storyline for Mortarion and the Death Guard, essentially, from the Codex, or the information of Grey Knight. So this is pretty cool. And I don't even think this is what I was talking about. I didn't know that this portion of it was in here. I'm gonna have to read this. This looks
Yeah, it's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, and they have a little, looks like a Vox transmission. Ravings is subject. Oh, this is pretty cool. This is all from the Grey Knight's perspective. Look at this. Very cool. And then this is not even the section I was talking about. So again, we're getting a lot of the highlights for you know what I do like? I appreciate when they have sections on 40K because like I said, on previous issues of White Dwarf, I'll pick it up and it's just like all Sigmar.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, well, not much to talk about and to look at. But here we go. So do you ever are these for these combat patrol strategies from a competitive player's perspective, is there anything applicable that you would be able to garner from here?
So combat patrol is very, it's sort of like Age of Sigmar Spearhead, so it's a set, almost like a set list. There's not like a ton of change you can take, and I think it's usually like 1,000 points. So it's the same rule set, but it is essentially a different, like a mini game kind of.
I get it. So it's only 1,000 points, and you have set units that you have to take.
Yes, yeah. Every army has or most armies have a set combat patrol that have different stratagems, vaguely the same abilities, and then a set. Yeah, so like literally that is, in order to run that combat patrol, you have to run those units.
I get it. Now, how popular is it within?
Combat patrol is not super popular. I know they do have like combat patrol tournaments and all that stuff, but it is not a super
main
popular
thing.
format. I think like I think Age of Sigmar Spearhead is way more streamlined and way better in terms of like a small, like, because they want combat patrol to be like a 30-minute, like 45-minute, like pop in, you can play it super quick and not, but it's not as popular, it's not as streamlined, and Spearhead is way better for that. I
get it. So Kill Team is much smaller.
That's like squad to squad, like 10 man. Correct. It's like 10 and 5 man.
I feel like Kill Team is more along the lines of what Chaos Gate Demon Hunter would be.
Yes. Chaos Gate Demon Hunter would be more of a Kill Team game.
I get it. Aspects of War. So this is who is this? This is who are they fighting? I can't. Is that White Scars? Or is that Tau?
No, that might be White Scars.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Yeah, those look like Space Marines.
That's what I was gonna say, but then I looked and I saw that. Oh no, they are White Scars. Yep, they are White Scars. You're right. Yep. Heralds of Nurgles. Oh wow.
Yeah, that's Rodigus.
Awesomely gross.
That's Rodigus on that left there.
Wow, great paint jobs on these. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
I would never be able to paint like this. Never. Ever. Some of the guys are like, can you please do a paint stream? I will do a paint stream and you guys will be like, you're literally painting like you're a 2-year-old.
I mean, this is from my painting desk. I got all my gray models up here.
What about you? Any interest in ever being able to paint like this?
No, not really. I put practice in. I do it when I have to, but I really like building the models. But
sure.
For me, it goes playing, building, painting.
Sure. And more Heralds of Nurgle. Kipash. Wow, look at this Titan.
Yeah, that's a Knight bomb in it. Maybe a Knight Rampager.
Very cool. Alright, let me get to the Grey Knight section really quick. Here it is.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they got a bit on Crow. They got some heraldry.
Yep.
Very cool.
There's Drago.
Classic Drago picture with
I know. And we got an Interceptor right here.
Keeper of Secrets, or Lord of Change.
Very cool. By the way, if you ever want any animated pictures of these, I have these created.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's all that I really wanted to cover within this. So yeah, so that is it. So what I'm gonna do is this. I am going to actually swing my camera over, but in the meantime, while I'm doing that, I don't want to show the transition. I'm going to start your video that
Sure.
I created from your pictures, and I
Yeah.
want you to kind of walk the folks through what's happening as I bring my camera back over. Cool?
Gotcha. Yeah.
All
So I
right.
played a couple of games today. I wanted to play through a couple scenarios, like I said, with my buddy that plays World Leaders and Demons and stuff. So we picked two scenarios to play through. He decided that he brought Nurgle Demons, so you're actually going to see a bunch of big, great, unclean ones, the big, chunky guys. Out there, we use those as the unbound demons. For some reason, we decided that in the chaos and the warp portals that were opening up across the planet, some Nurgle demons got confused and happened to walk through.
So, so you had the Nurgle demons come through.
Yeah, so there are random Nurgle demons that are fighting both sides.
I get it. Cool. All right, let me set it up for you. Hold on 1 second. Let me just kill this. Give me a second, guys, because I'm remembering how to do this. All right.
Sweet. Yeah, so basically it kind of goes through. I think Angron will be on there. Yeah. So basically, I picked the scenario. We picked one of the scenarios. It was like a bridge. So there was like chasms on both sides, and you had to cross across it. And then demons are kind of crawling up from the sides to attack both forces. Obviously, it's world leaders coming across, and I'm holding the line on the other side. And this was a lot of. I mean, we're playing very casually and very fluffy, so we don't like. We're not like playing super competitively. We're just kind of letting each other shoot at each other and stuff like that. Cool moment. Angron basically sprinted forward, was a missile, crashed into a Razorback, killed it, and then immediately got jumped by 3 Dread Knights and died, and was sent back to the warp the first time. It's not as cool as 6 Cyclone missiles, but it's still kind of cool. Oh, what consoles do I have? I play on Xbox. I have an Xbox, I don't know, the big one, the fridge. I play on that one. I'm big into Night Rain right now. It's got me addicted. Elden Ring Night Rain has my heart. And then the other scenario we did was the assault on the gate. And that one was really cool because we got to have Angron came in and we got to have the fights with all the Dread Knights and have my line of paladins, and it was very thematic, very cool. I definitely felt like I was fighting that last battle, which was really, really cool. And Angron does kill whatever he touches. If he hits it in melee, it just dies. There's some really cool action shots of like over the shoulder, some Grey Knights facing down some giant demons and stuff like that, which is cool. Even my Hyperion Grey Knight Interceptor in there jump packing around. He did live, and they ended in front of the chaos portal in that final fight, which was cool. It'll slow down. I'll be able to talk through the other pictures as well. But Angron is insane, and honestly, it did. One thing we didn't plan on is I had basically a row of 10 paladins in the back of the final gate of the assault. And I ended up losing 2, and so the final count of paladins to banish Angron in the final was 8, which is what it was in the book, which was kind of cool. What were you saying? You don't have Space Marine 2 yet. I would be interested in a game share if you'd be down to game share with me. We could probably work that out. It was on my, it's AAA games, so expensive and money, you know. Wraith is still. Have you joined us? We're waiting on sound, I think. Nope. We're doing it live. It was really cool. Honestly, all of the scenarios seemed really fun. I enjoyed playing through them. So I got to use a bunch of my Dread Knights, and then I played a practice game into Death Guard afterwards, which was a lot of fun because I have a grand tournament this weekend. I mean, my paladins are awesome. I don't get to use Terminators. They're not very competitive on right now. They're not a super like optimal unit to run. So it was cool. It's cool to use paladins right now and fight them in terms of what survives through it. And also, big 10 brick of paladins is pretty chunky. So your opponent has to decide whether or not they want to shoot Terminators or Dread Knights. And usually the correct option is to shoot the Dread Knights, which means my Terminators just get to exist, which is kind of fun. No, I can't. I saw your mouth move, but I cannot hear you. And anytime I can get my Interceptor squad that has specifically my Hyperion model in it is always cool. I need to get a new Hyperion model, though, I will say. His nickname in the Emperor's Gift is Two Guns, and so I have a bunch of like bolter bits and plasma gun bits and bolt pistol bits, and so I need to make an interceptor model with his bolter and like a gun out and his force and like a staff on his back for an actual official Hyperion model, other than just a interceptor with a staff. I wonder if YouTube can hear you. No, YouTube can't even hear you. It's just me. Yeah, sad face. We can call it there, though. I mean, that's kind of it. The video is cool, and I got to fight Angron, which was cool. So that's really the highlight. I fought Angron. I killed him once, and then he came back, and I banished him again. Sounds like a plan. I'll do the outro this time. It's all me. All right, well, I appreciate everyone coming and checking out the Armageddon Street Crusade review stream. I'm sure Wraith has a bunch of other stuff scheduled. I don't know what his upcoming schedule is, but I'm sure it's something to do with Space Marine 2 and other Grey Knight things. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much. I have a GT coming up this weekend, and then next week I'll be in Tennessee for a team tournament. I will be continuing to run my Razorback Rush 5 Dread Knight list. I'm going to run it till it either is bad or until the Codex comes out, whatever comes first. Other than that, thank everyone for watching and listening. Like and subscribe again. I'll say it again. That's Wraith. I'm Michael, and we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night.